Let's solve question 2.7. So we got question 2.7.5. We'll work here with elasticity. So we're going to work on a new concept. Let's first of all write our function. Our demand function is price equals to 90 minus 0.05 times Q. And in question A, they ask us what is the elasticity of demand. Alright, before going further, let's first understand what is elasticity. Because elasticity is similar to the slope, but there is a difference. So a slope and elasticity. A slope shows the change in y relative to the change in x. So the slope shows us a change in units. A change in units. What does the elasticity show? Well, the elasticity shows the change in y over y divided by the change in x over x, which shows us a change in percent. And that's the whole difference. The units and the percent. That's the key point to remember about the slope and the elasticity. And let's see why this is useful, how this is practical. Well, think about it this way. Suppose we have an increase in the price of rice due to a tax, and at the same time we have an increase in the price of a car also due to a tax. Well, if we say that the tax equals to 1 euro, let's say the tax is equal to 1 euro. Well, the price of the rice goes up by 1 euro and the price of the car goes up by 1 euro. But then, does it help us? How does this help us? It doesn't help us much, because 1 euro increase in price for the rice, well, that could be quite a lot, because the rice overall is cheap, and 1 euro for it means a lot. But a car is expensive. Let's say a car would be 10,000 euros. 1 additional euro for the car doesn't matter much, so the demand would not react as much. Meaning that these things, the unit change or the slope, does not show any significant data points for us. It does not help us understand how the demand reacts. But suppose the second case. Let's change colors. Suppose the second case is that we have a tax of 1% per the price. Well, the price of the rice would go up by 1%. The price of the car would also go up by 1%. But what is 1% in this case? Well, in this case, 1% shows a relative change, shows a proportional change to the price. So when we have 10,000 euros for the car, a 1% out of 10,000, well, that's already something interesting, because that's something that we can, understand easier, rather than just 1 euro per, relative to the 10,000 euros. So when it comes usually to high prices or to luxury goods, unit changes don't really help us much, but percentage change helps us more. So that's the reason we have both unit changes and percentage changes. And let's see how this is working out in supply and demand. So in our case, remember we had this linear function, price equals to 90 minus 0.05 times quantity. How can we find out the elasticity of demand? Well, let's write the formula. Elasticity of demand is the percentage change in quantity relative to the percentage change in price, which means that we have delta Q divided by Q over delta price relative to the price. Now, if we write this a bit more neat, how can we write it? That would be equal to the price. Let's actually do it in a long way so we can see the entire math here. Delta quantity over quantity. When we divide by delta price over rice, we multiply with the inverse. So we multiply it with the price over delta P. And that would be equal to price over quantity. Let's group the things, price and quantity together, and then the things with the delta together. Delta Q over delta P. Okay, that looks better now. So this would be the formula for our elasticity of demand. Now, how can we calculate the formula, the elasticity itself? Well, the elasticity of demand would be equal to the price. What was the price? The price was 90 minus 0.05 times quantity divided by Q. Okay, we have Q. And now what is delta Q over delta P? Well, that is the slope when the price increases by 1 unit. Can we find that out from the linear function that they give us? Well, let's see. We have quantity affecting price, but now we want to find out the slope of price affecting quantity. So let's actually write this as 0.05Q equals to 90 minus the price. So we basically change the places of Q and P so that we have a function of quantity depending on price. Meaning we would have quantity equals to 90 over 0.05 minus 1 over 0.05 times the price. So that would be equal to 1800 minus 20p. Okay, now with this in mind, we can answer our question about the slope there. Delta Q divided by delta P. What is delta Q over delta P? That's literally our slope. Delta Q over delta P. It's over here. It's minus 20. And we can use this number into our formula because we need it. Delta Q over delta P. That's equal to minus 20. So if we do some math and open the brackets, we would have 90 multiplied with minus 20. That would be equal to minus 1800. And then minus 0.05 times minus 20 equals to 1. Plus 1 times Q divided by Q. Let's deconstruct it a bit. 1 over Q, Q divided by Q. That would be equal to just 1. And then minus 1800 divided by Q would be minus 1800 over Q. And that would be our formula for our elasticity. Let's leave it like that for this video, and then the second one, in the next video, we'll go through the questions B and C.